Welcome to Therapy is Dope with Alicia.
And Julie, let's make self-help fun again. No, seriously, laughter is the best medicine.
Come and join us as we introduce new ways of thinking and being.
And hopefully get you laughing along the way.
Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome back, listeners. What a beautiful day with a beautiful guest.
Yay!
I thought about this guest for a while because I am inspired by the way he lives his life. He's my best business mentor, and he runs a crazy successful company, but he only works half the day. I was like, how do you do this? And he's all about work-life balance and having 2 days in one. So I really want to introduce, so proud to introduce my guest, Sorano, to the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be with you guys.
So tell us what the secret is.
Yes, how do you have work-life balance? I was telling Julie, I feel like it's damn near impossible until you retire. So are you retired? Is that the secret?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm retired. So just a little bit of context. So I'm the son of a father that's a workaholic, and he used to work 7 days a week. And in his life, he did not have a balance. He lost family, he lost business, he lost everything. And today he's a very lonely person. And really what I think happened there is when you overwork, you really lose your connection to the world, to people, to the value of things. So just as a simple example, we all know what things cost because we want them. So you want a new pair of pants, you know what it costs, so you go out and shop for them. You want a new car, you know what it costs because you're shopping for them, you look for them, right? So you're connected somehow to the real world. When you're a workaholic and you don't have other interests, you end up just working for the sake of working. And you think that if you work more, you're more successful, but in essence, you are just losing yourself. And so with that in the background, my first 15 years of work life were also, workaholic. I would work, 12, 14-hour days, and I would go crazy about it. And I'm sure I had to be a successful person. So that was my north, and nobody's going to stop me. And I did very well. But there came a moment where I started saying, well, hold on a sec. I've already seen this pattern. I don't want this. I don't want to become 60 one day and say I've never saw my kids grow up, really. And I completely changed my life. And wow. I took a break. We were in Chile at the time, in the successful business, and decided to pack our bags. I left the business, which I was a partner in. I sold it and packed 2 containers and just left for a 2-year sabbatical. I wanted to spend 2 years with my family, seeing my kids grow up and actually spend quality time with them so that I could never say that I was too old and I never saw them grow up.
Wow, that is so beautiful.
It was really, I've always been someone who, if I'm going to decide on something, I'm going to act on it. I don't linger on my decisions, right? And I think that really is this. You were asking about what is the secret? The secret is don't linger on your decisions. If you want something, just do it, right?
Is that like the 5-second rule?
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about that?
No, tell us, what is that?
As some woman, I actually don't even know who it is because I'm really good at these things. But some woman.
Mel Robbins.
Oh, is that who it is? There you go. See, you already know. Don't mess with me, Julie.
But hers is different. I'm interpreting it different. I thought her 5-second rule was count to 5 and then make your decision, versus his is saying don't dwell on it, make it immediately.
Don't even give it 5 seconds?
No, I'm not saying don't give it 5 seconds. What I'm saying is, we spend our lives saying, "Oh, I would like to do this. I would like to do that. Oh, I could have done this, or someday, I want to become this." But someday never comes because you're always pushing it back to the future. So the way I live my life is, I want something, I get it. I want something, I go after it. I make it happen. And most of the time it works out because it's all about willpower. It's all about how bad you want things. In this case, I decided not to live the same type of life. And so essentially decided to pack all our things and completely change. I've changed countries. We moved to the US with my family and everybody. And I decided to live my life watching my kids grow up. So it was a matter of wanting it. A lot of people talk about moving. A lot of people talk about, wanting to do things. And the only difference between what I did and what a lot of people, don't do is basically just do it. And I think that's really is the key in most cases. I'm not talking about doing silly things and just going ahead to, and doing whatever you think, but in essence, it's just if this is something you've always wanted to do or something it really means something to you, then just go ahead and do it because life is too short. And so I spent a good amount of years, coaching my kids' team, softball teams, and then watching them, helping them grow up and just, being a much better parent. Of course, I had my businesses and I had work and jobs and things like that that kept us going, but it's just a matter of changing my priorities, and my priorities was my family as it always has been.
Wow.
And today, I guess the biggest thing that drives me really is understanding that, of course, we all say life is too short and we want balance in our lives, but what does that really mean in practical terms? And to me, at least in practical terms, it means, okay, set a limit. And my limit is 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I want to be able to work, and then I want to be able to leave work and have a full day or half a day at least to whatever else life is about.
My big question is,
normally,
what time do you
yes.
start work?
Well,
you're
I used to start at 6 a.m. Now I'm at 7, shortening it up a little bit, but from 7 to 1 or 7 to 2, it's a good 6 or 7 hours. And if you learn how to really cut the nonsense and a lot of the unnecessary babble and things that we tend to do, you can really be productive. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I do have to say, I think it has to be maybe industry specific. I do have to say, for me, it helps me think about it in this way, right? I say I pretend that I have because after watching him going, he runs such a huge company in 6 hours. What am I doing? And I used to work 13 hours before he really guided me into working less and just working more efficiently, because I notated mentally and started noting to myself, what am I doing these 12, 13 hours? Most of the time I'm just standing around, delaying things, not making a decision, waiting, not the 5-second rule. It was like this, 15-minute rule. Like I was like, I don't know if we should order more bags. Let me get back to you. Versus let's order more bags, let's do it, you know what I mean? And make the decision quickly. Versus in other industries like Alicia's, she can't shorten it. She can't be she's a therapist. So it's in 1 hour session. So she can't be like, today we're doing 45 minutes because I think we could do it faster than we did it last week. Like she has to do those, right?
Need you to stay focused and get to the point.
Of course, you work by the hour, and the more hours you work, the more you make. But I mean, you can set your limit too. You could say, I only work until 3 p.m. and after that, I'm going to do everything that I'd like to do the rest of the day while there's still sunlight. The most important thing is that work cannot rob the sunlight from you. Okay, because that's really when all your good vibes happen. So you don't want work to rob you of your energy. You don't want work to take away any of that motivation you have for the rest of the day, and you got to cut it. So is it easy? No. Do you have to organize yourself differently? Absolutely. Could it have a financial impact? Maybe, right? Or maybe you can find ways to complement that with more passive income. But ultimately, the point is, in life, life is short, right? We always say that, but we just really don't give the value that really means. So live it as if you're going to die tomorrow in a very, positive way. and work, set your limit, and then go do things. I I obviously at lunchtime or after 1 or 2 p.m. I play tennis personally.
Oh,
So
I
I do
love
that.
tennis.
Yeah, that really de-stresses me and takes away. Plus, it's very it's healthy and so forth. And then after that, go enjoy the day. Like I do walks, an hour and a half walks. I enjoy, the ocean or the leaves or the sun or whatever while you're walking. You're thinking, you're making your calls. Your me time, and then do other things. Just we do museums, whatever it works for you. Doesn't matter. But that day, that half day is yours. It's not your employer's. It's not your work. It's yours. And what happens is when you, like I was explaining earlier, like if you want a pair of pants, you know what they're worth because you go out and you shop for them, and then you work and you get them. So essentially, what you're doing is you know what things are worth, right? And you know how many hours of work they cost to you. So in this case, instead of something material you're buying, you're basically buying time. So the afternoon is your precious time. What is that worth to you? So when you show up to work in the morning, you need to understand that every hour extra that you spend at work is expensive time. It's time you're taking away from your precious moments. So, know the price of that. And if you really value that, then just be very efficient, you know, get everything to work within the time frame that you want to set yourself, and then just go. And trust me, most of the time, the things that you think are going to be a problem because you leave the office, they're still there in the morning. And it
Yeah.
doesn't change. It doesn't change. It's not worse. Many times it's even better because you just needed time to solve them, right? So just trust yourself on this. And I really think you'll be a happier person. At least I know I am.
I mean, it
Yeah,
sounds amazing for sure.
yeah. In the beginning, when I started doing that, I only do that maybe twice a week now, like half days, maybe 3 times a week. And in the beginning, it was very frustrating because I was like, I can't. There's no way. There's just no way I can't. I can't. How do I reduce my day in half and get it all done? So I actually was more frustrated. So the transition is not so easy. Just letting you listeners know. So in the beginning, I was like, no, fuck this. This is so hard, and I feel more frustrated. And then when I'm doing my me time, the whole time I'm thinking, I should be there. I feel so guilty for being there. I feel like I abandoned my team. I feel like no one's gonna respect me. I feel like I'm a bad role model and a bad leader. Um, but when I started doing that a lot more often, I realized that they actually appreciate my time more and they actually came to me for important things immediately. So there was less procrastination on their end and less on my end because I was there all day. So they could have taken advantage of, oh, Julie's gonna be there. She'll decide later. Oh, I'll tell her before I leave. Or I'll tell you, it's like, oh, Julie's here. We don't know she's gonna stay. Let's tell her now. So then the solution actually ends up being solved way earlier in the day than later on.
And there's the
Wow.
point of delegating, right, as well. So when you're working, everybody talks about teams and stuff like that, but are you really a team when you're micromanaging everybody, right? So again, uh, why by restricting your time and your hours, you learn how to prioritize what you do, and you learn how to delegate because of that, because you're forced to delegate. Otherwise, you can't get things done. So you're putting pressure, and under pressure, we work well. And that's what ends up happening. So give the value of your me time, your afternoon time, give it the price that it really deserves. And that price comes in work hours. And that's how you have to be very efficient at work. So working doesn't mean just showing up in the morning and then leaving in the afternoon. It means I'm working as best and as efficiently as I can because I want to have my me time in the afternoon, right? That's a different way of looking at it, in my view.
Yeah, that pressure that you were talking about makes a lot of sense to me. And it reminds me of one of my clients was telling me that if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you should move to another country, because if you're in another country, you have no choice but to figure it all out. Whereas here, it's like, I don't know, maybe. And so people don't get stuff done as much as they would perhaps somewhere that's a foreign area to them.
Yeah, because you have to literally you have to do that to survive. That's a good point.
That makes sense. You know, you're starting from scratch, so you have to figure everything out.
Yeah. So that pressure point that you made, I think makes a lot of sense. And also the point you made, Julie, about people bringing you the more important things when they do see you, that makes a lot of sense too. So I'm seeing what you guys are saying. And one thing that I've definitely learned is that nothing moves on my timeline anyway. So if I want something to get done immediately, actually a client told me a story today. She said she stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning doing something for her boss because she wanted it to get done ASAP. And she said her boss didn't even look at her email for like 3 days.
Yeah, that
happens a
happens
lot.
all the time. Sometimes I'm rushing to do something, and then that person goes, "Oh, I don't have time to do," or yeah, it just doesn't get to it. And for a day, it's like, why did I stress myself out for that? You know, so it's like now it's like, oh, you know what? Forget it. It's just that's how everything's gonna be.
But Alicia, it's also about um, if you give the proper value to that me time, to that afternoon time, then that means you really learn how to prioritize better during work. So when you don't have that pressure and you're willing to stay all day at work, you really don't have the need to prioritize. You're just there. Things will happen. They come to you. They leave you. You make decisions. You don't. You do those reports if you have to. But until you really don't, like we said, put that pressure and put the value of that me time, then there is no prioritization, right? It just comes. It just happens. So just everybody just think about this, right? Think about what is it really you want, and the only difference between getting what you really want and and getting it is just doing it.
I did say that to a client today. She said, I don't think I'm ready for this promotion. And I was like, well, first of all, I don't think people would be offering it to you if they didn't think you were ready. And second of all, it doesn't matter if you feel like you're ready, just do it and you'll figure it out.
Exactly.
There was a really good quote. I think it's from Mindy. I don't know her last name. It's that she's an Indian actress in
Oh,
The
I
Office.
love her. Yes.
I love her. And she says confidence is like respect, you have to earn it. And it's one of those things, you get the promotion and sometimes we're not confident enough to be like, maybe I don't deserve, maybe I don't know. And we do the imposter syndrome. Oh, I don't think I'm good enough. They're gonna find out that I suck, blah, blah, blah at some point, right? And I had to struggle with it too. Like I was like, I don't want to take half days because I feel bad. I feel guilty. I feel like I'm abandoning. But those stories most of the time are just made up in our heads. Like no one felt like I abandoned them. No one felt that. And if they do, it's a issue that they have to deal with, right? So when I finally was like, I do deserve these half days, then you actually have action behind it. When I didn't think I deserved the half days, I had every excuse in the book and I never end up doing it. So you just have to be like, dude, we're all deserving of a happy life. And we don't have to do anything to earn the happy life. We were born loved and we're born to have the right to be happy. Like you don't have to do anything to earn that. So just, so now it's like now it makes sense. Like, okay, I'm just going to do it.
That's funny that you said that because I've been talking to several clients about that. One of them recently said to me, why do you think that people deserve happiness? I don't think humans deserve to be happy. And I said, okay, I can see your perspective on that, but like all babies are born worthy, right? Like you don't think, oh, this one sucks, let's throw it out.
Yeah.
And if you believe babies are born worthy, why aren't you worthy? Unless you can tell me something horrible that you've done to not be worthy, most people can. I mean, most people's mistakes are minimal in the grand scheme of things.
And going back to Brene Brown, and I love this quote from her. She's like, you made a mistake. You're not the mistake. And people make mistakes, and I've made terrible mistakes. I have not consistently made the moral decision all the time. And I had to get over my guilt, my just me beating myself up and be like, I am not the mistake. I made a mistake. And when I decided that to be true, to ring true in my life, it, it goes back to that whole Mindy quote, right? Your confidence gets earned. Like, it's those little mini steps to get to a point where you feel like you really deserve it. And maybe I think, Sorano, I think you always felt like you deserved it. Maybe I don't know if you struggle with self-esteem.
Oh, I've always struggled with self-esteem, and that as we grow older, we learn how to deal with it and learn how to accept it. But I think it's lack of self-esteem is part of life. Some of it have, in more severe degrees, some of it just lightly, but it's like frustration, and need to learn how to deal with it. But in this concept of making mistakes, I think one of the things that helps me make quicker decisions is knowing that, or accepting that I will make mistakes. But the key is, out of 10 decisions that I make, I probably will make 2 or 3 mistakes. I won't make 5, I won't make 8. I'll probably make 2 or 3. So as long as I'm content and happy and accept that the majority of my decisions will be better, I will constantly be making decisions, and I will be making them quicker and faster, because it's worse not to make them, because then you're stagnant. You're just not moving. You're not going anywhere. So why not just make all the decisions you need to make, not be afraid to make the mistake. And if you do, just know that it's going to be 10, 20%, maybe 30 at the most. And that's how life.
I love that. That is so good. That's gold. We got to remember that quote, Julie. We can accept a 25% margin of error, should we say? That
Yeah.
sounds so bad.
It's life, right? Life is not perfect. So what? You made a mistake. But the worst mistake you can make is not move, is be stagnant, stay there immobile, because you're afraid to make one mistake.
Because not making a mistake is making a decision. That's still, you're still deciding. Because if people are like, if you wait and you go, okay, I don't want to make a mistake, by not making by not having any progress or not making a decision, it is making a decision. You've decided not to do anything.
Right.
You just confused the heck out of me.
All right, let me clear that. Okay.
Were you saying that it's a mistake not to make a decision? I don't know.
Sorry, my bad. I know. I think I used the wrong words. Let me just go. Not doing anything, not making a decision is a decision, right? And he said that the biggest mistake you can make is not doing anything. Yeah. So you've decided to make a mistake by not doing anything.
And now I have a question, and this goes to you saying the only thing that's holding you back is not making these moves and not taking these risks and not making these decisions. How do you get around the thoughts and the fears that people have? Like, oh, I can't because of this, or I can't because of that, or it's too risky, or it's too dangerous. Like, I think that those kinds of thoughts are what keep people stuck in the same thing that they're doing.
Well, here's what happens to me, at least. I'm an overthinker, right? So I tend to think the infinite amount of options and solutions and alternatives that any problem will have. Okay. And I end up coming to the conclusion that, you know what, anything can happen. So I might as well just move forward, because if I stay around and try and plan for the best, option that's going to come out there, I'm probably going to find out that I decide for A and it's ended up being B or C anyway. So let's just move. Let's just go. Let's get going. As you move, you'll find out that the problem, in most cases, is different than how you thought it was. And it wasn't as bad, or it was different, or the solution, was a completely different one. So staying stagnant because of your fears, because of how many options could happen, or because you don't like the outcome of certain, options, it just freezes you. And now you have a worse problem, right? So you're stuck. You're not a better person. You're not, you don't have freedom. You don't have your own time. You're not enjoying things. You're not enjoying people. You're not valuing what their worth is. You're not valuing what your own worth is. You're stuck. You're stuck because you're fearful of all these millions of options that could happen to you in life. And I just realized that because I'm an overthinker. So I get tired of thinking of so many options and saying, well, which one is it? At the end, I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. There's so many options out there. I might as well just pick one and go for it.
I
And
love that
also with
way
this,
of thinking. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, sorry, I totally interrupted. I was just thinking about, you know, how we throw around right or wrong or a mistake or whatnot. Sometimes these decisions aren't like that mistake has opened a door for something else. So let's say this mistake of, oh, I got to this meeting late, but what if in the meeting you met somebody in the waiting room where you're, you know, you got connected for something, for, you know, expanding your network somehow. Like, let's say in the meeting room you were late and then you randomly saw a contractor and then you went, oh, okay, and then you guys exchanged numbers and then you needed, you know, I don't know, like work done at your house. I don't like there's always something that happens, and not every mistake is 100% a mistake. You know, there could be benefits coming out of every mistake or everything that happened, every action.
For sure. For sure. There's always something good that can happen, you know, out of something bad. But again, it's about you taking the reins of your life, right? If you're gonna let all the millions of alternatives, right, the bad outcome, the possible bad outcomes, take control of your life, and you freeze because of that, then you've lost. You're not living your life. You're letting life live for you. And so I I've decided I don't want that. You know, I want to take charge. I will make my mistakes along the way. I'm sure I'm going to make less mistakes than positives. I'm not going to like the mistakes I make. I'll figure out a way of fixing them. And but I always know that I will be constantly moving. And so the day that I die, I will at least say I did everything I could to live my life, and I didn't let life live it for me.
That is so beautiful. What you were saying about both of you were saying something that I think is really important. The first thing was that there's a solution to every problem, and you said if I make a mistake, I'll figure it out. And I think that that's so true. And I think the problem for people a lot of times is that we can't think of the solution, and if we can't think of the solution, then it's just a whole failure and it's just awful and terrible. And then people are like frozen, like you said, and they don't want to move forward with anything. But the solution's out there, we just have to find it. And then Julie, you said that when you make a mistake, something good can come out of that. And I absolutely believe that. I mean, I've seen people go through all kinds of tragedies and mistakes, and beauty can come out of freaking anything. So, and it's not ever in a way that you expect. You can't predict how it's going to work out for you in the end, but and it can be very difficult when you're going through the mistake. However, in the end, these things do seem to work out. It's interesting.
It strangely always works out, and it's really that Gabriella something, she always talks about the universe has my back. And it's like somehow, and Sorano's pretty religious, so he always says, you know, God has a plan for you, and you may not understand that, but it will work out. He's watching out for you, you know. And same thing as what Gabby said, the universe has your back. And if you truly just believe that someone has your back, you kind of like, who cares if I make this mistake? Fuck it. Let's just do it and see how it goes. Because I really also believe that in one problem there's many solutions. So let's say you have a cut on your hand, that's a problem. So the solution could be, oh, I'm gonna douse it in alcohol and tape it up. But then another one could be like, I'm gonna super glue it tight, and the other one is I'm going to dip it in, you know, vanilla pudding or whatever, you know. So all of these, I'm not saying all the solutions are as strong as others, right? But are better than the others. But there are a million solutions to every problem. So if you're saying I have no solution, that's completely wrong. You have to get out of the mindset of there's one solution to one problem. There's always a million solutions to every problem.
And to add a little bit to the, you know, I'm sure all of us have had the situation where you have a problem at night, you can't figure it out, and then all of a sudden you fall asleep, and next morning you wake up and say, "Oh, I found the solution. It's very simple, right? It was right there under your nose, right?" And I guess the reason that happens is because when you stress, when you have too much either work or the problem becomes too heavy for you, you cease to see the solution. And so that's where the 2 days in one comes in. So when we've created a system where you can de-stress and diversify your day and do other things so that your mind is clean and unpressured in the morning when you show up to work, problem solving becomes so much easier and you become much more efficient. So it's a self-feeding model where the more balanced you are, the more efficient you become, the more time you have for yourself. So you have to start somewhere. But that's really what happens. You become much better at finding the solutions, or at least accepting that you may not have a solution, but the problem's not as big as you think it is.
That is the best. I love this kind of stuff. I think that for me, one of the most difficult types of clients to work with is the kind of person that is help resistant. So not that I have all the solutions, and I can talk about that later, but if I present a solution, this kind of client will say, "Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, that's not going to work." And it's so frustrating because then it starts to look like, "Oh, okay, you just don't want to get better."
Right.
And I think that is true for a lot of people. They're comfortable in their discomfort. And if they were to have a more balanced life, it would feel wrong to them. At least initially, like you were saying, Julie, like that transition period is like, oh, this doesn't feel right. I don't think I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you need to ask those customers what are they there? Why are they there in the first place? Are they there to find a solution? Or are they just there simply to to gloat on their problem? And
Yeah.
and a lot of people are stuck, and so and they want other people to find the solution for them and not put in the work. I mean, I suppose that if the problems become so big for you that the stress takes away your capability to find the solution, I think that's true. um so perhaps you need to find a way to de-stress first before you actually face the problem, right?
Yeah.
um and then only then will they be willing to switch from gloating, or moaning or whining about the problem to actually have the will to find a solution, right? But again, it's all about, we call it balance or whatever, but it's all about de-stressing. It's finding the clarity of mind so that the problem doesn't become a universe, right? It's just simply one little thing that you have to figure it out.
Yeah. And
That-
I know for me, when I can't find the solution to something, I love talking to other people about things because maybe you'll have a different take on it than I would. So what do you think about this? What do you think I should do? And not that I'm going to necessarily follow any one person's advice, but it just helps get my wheels spinning sometimes.
For sure. Other people's opinions, are almost as important. I used to be the type of person that would would kind of want other people to do exactly as I wanted them because I thought that I knew best and better than them. And I said, okay, I've done this 1,000 times, so you're going to do it this, and this way. And I used to get really annoyed when people didn't follow my instructions, right? And then I started figuring out, but wait a sec, they still got the job done. And I found myself spending so much time trying to tell people how I wanted them to do the process, as opposed to just telling them what I wanted the result to be, and judging them by that, right? That it just consumed my time, and it got me really angry, right? It just got me always very frustrated. And so today I realized that we all have different ways of reaching the same goal. And some of us are better at one thing, some are better at others, but ultimately a lot of us can reach the same end. So let's not spend so much time on telling people how to do it, but rather just judge them on getting to the end result. And if they can do it, then fantastic, then you can spend your time at something else.
That is awesome. Yeah, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's what my mom used to
Yeah.
say.
I always thought that quote was so mean. I was like, oh my God, why?
It is
More
terrible.
than anything, there's more than one way to peel an apple. Why can't he say that? Get a cat, poor cat.
Why are we doing that? Oh, this is so beautiful. I love everything you're saying. It's definitely giving me things to think about, and I think it makes a lot of sense, especially about the clarity of mind. And it's a very progressive way of thinking. I know that like a lot of the Fortune 500 companies now are being more flexible with their employees and encouraging them to have wellness in their life and things that help them de-stress, because they found that that makes a better employee. But I feel like it's taking a long time for those same concepts to trickle down into the rest of
Yeah.
society.
No, it really, really is. And it's so funny because what I learned, especially having those half days, is that I get really stressed out. And I used to bring that home and just be super distant. And I got coined the nickname CEO Julie because I'm thinking about work and I'm emotionless, I'm distant, don't talk to me, and my brain is so full and my energy so depleted. Like I'm good. And there was reasons why my mom didn't want our family business to grow or expand, because she said, you're gonna be so mean to us.
Oh,
I know. And I realized, I was like, am I? I was like, I'm not mean. I'm not like, yelling at you or anything. And then I'm realizing more and more, oh, I just get so distant because I'm in my head all day. But now that I have these 2 days in one and I have that time to distress, I come home and I'm present. I'm actually home. So it's nicer for my loved ones and people that surround me. But also, going back with that, do you remember college essays? A
yes.
long time, a long time ago. But they used to say, oh, why don't you just put this essay down? You've looked at it so much, look at it with fresh eyes tomorrow, right? So
Yes.
it's like we've looked at this problem you've looked at it all morning, all day, and you thought about it through your decompression. Just look at it with fresh eyes tomorrow.
I
And,
love
and
that.
I think that's what you kind of, Sorana kind of talked about for a little bit. But yeah, so yeah, just to know that the problem's going to be there, tomorrow, and it's okay. And you might not be able to do anything today about it anyway.
Yeah,
And you
that's
think
true.
about the state of mind when you come home after working all day. So if you think about it, if your loved one is a stay at home um, a person, and you come home depleted, right? All you want is eat and sleep. Um, well, your loved one, maybe their day is just starting when you're finishing it, right? So how can that not lead to problems? How can that not lead to the division and issues in your relationship, right? So somehow this 2 days in one, will enable you to have enough energy to spend with your loved one. It's going to help your relationship. It's going to help everything in your life, not just your personal life, but also your love life.
But I think there are platonic relationships too. Like Alicia, if you and I were talking and I was in a super busy day and I answered you, what, you need anything? What? Because the other day she FaceTime me randomly because her daughter Liliana, I love her. She was like, "What's Julie doing?" Like, I'm gonna stare at her picture for a while. And Alicia's like, "Let's just call her." And I was, I was like just getting ready, or I don't know, I was out or whatnot. But I was able to pick up and be smiley and be there for you guys and had a legitimate conversation versus either not pick up because I was busy or go, "Hey, what's up? What's up? Oh, sorry, I got 2 minutes. What's going on? Hey, Lilian, what's up? Great, bye." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
That
talking to a
was a
picture.
nice, cute little conversation.
She's so cute. She lost a tooth.
Did the tooth fairy come?
Did the tooth
Yeah.
fairy
Oh,
come?
yeah. The tooth fairy came. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, damn, did they? Yeah, they came. Of course.
How much did the tooth fairy leave?
Oh, her tooth fairy is very cheap. Very cheap. She
How much
doesn't
she get?
even know it, so it's amazing. Like,
You left an IOU.
not quite that bad. She only gets $1 a tooth.
That's pretty good. I remember never having a big tooth fairy.
Somebody told me the going rate for a tooth now is $5, and I was like, oh, we got too
Oh.
many teeth to lose for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you talk to my dentist because he charges a lot more than $5 per tooth.
That's true.
Yeah.
So Serrano, you told us what you like to do with your me time. So now I'm just curious, Julie, what do you do with your me time?
Oh, I love my me time. Okay, so I always journal. I
Ah,
take baths, hot showers. I do like at home facial massages or go to an actual facial massages. Whatever. Even if it's like long walks, I'm starting to enjoy long walks more and more. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. I love the fact that I just have that time. Even if I did nothing, and let's say I just laid there, right, and I took a nap or something, right? That sounds fantastic anyway.
it
But
does, yeah.
just knowing you have time, it's like, wow, I have time today. Like I don't have to do anything. I'm not expected or obligated to be anywhere or do anything. That freedom, oh, feels amazing.
Yes, freedom of obligation. That does sound amazing.
A-
So
And also as a mother, right? For you as a mother, I'm sure there's other mothers or parents out there that are like, I don't have time for me time because as soon as I'm done with work, I'm picking up a kid, I'm doing this, I'm making dinner, I'm blah blah blah, and I'm never by myself. I don't have that me time. How do you? What answer would you have for that?
that's why you have to end your day earlier.
Exactly. Exactly. You just got to start somewhere. And, you become more efficient when you are clearer minds, and you only become clearer minds when you get your me time or your second day in one. So you got to start somewhere.
Well, you're a CEO of your company, so you are in charge of your own schedule. What if you were on a 9 to 5 schedule with kids and you had to make dinner?
Well, are
Pizza.
you alone or are you living with somebody else?
I guess I'm living with somebody. Pizza. But I'm
Well, listen, I mean, me time doesn't necessarily, in my books, doesn't necessarily mean that it's alone time. It's just time that's not work, right? It's your second day in one. So, if you learn how to cook with your children, or you do fun activities with them somehow, so that it becomes something more than just a chore, right? Then maybe it does become something that's fun. At the same time, if you before you're cooking, if you had 2 or 3 hours of playing tennis, or you had your time to do whatever else you wanted to do, then dinner won't be a problem, because it's not the only thing you're doing after work. So the trouble is when you have so little time after work, and you spend it only doing chores, then life becomes a burden, right? Life becomes just work at the job, work at home, and so now everything just builds up, the pressure builds up, and small problems become huge problems. So you've got to somehow break this vicious circle. Have to start decompressing, and it just means find a way to limit your work time. Find a way to start, decompressing in the afternoon, doing so many things. Find a way to enjoy life, because it's short, because it's beautiful, and because it's going to help you just be a better person and a better, professional too.
Now I
or
have a
maybe
question. Go ahead. You can go ahead,
I was
Julie.
gonna say for a suggestion, maybe when let's say you don't have very much time, and your boss said, nope, you have to work 9 to 5, you can't shorten it, whatever. Either you wake up earlier and you spend an hour by yourself in the morning doing something you like. Like let's say you really enjoy a cup of coffee, make the best fucking coffee you could make. Or when you're driving home to pick up your kid, you could say you could play your favorite music, blast it up, and take a route that is prettier. Like let's say it passes the ocean
Little
or past
details.
little things like that you could start enjoying. No,
That's true, but also I think, and this is something where we probably don't necessarily agree. Um, Sleep to me is a necessity, but it's a waste of time. So,
Oh
um,
no.
okay, I know. I'm saying
no.
this, with the risk of losing a lot of your audience, but
And me and your host.
but here's the point. All right, we need sleep. Of course, we need sleep, right? But if if you were in your deathbed and you said, "Okay, I give you 24 hours," do you want to sleep, or do you want to go out and just enjoy and look at life as best as you can, right? Every little detail. Just just know that time is precious, and you learn how to live with less sleep. You really train your body to live with less sleep. You train to push back and you learn to use that time that life doesn't give you, you squeeze it out, right? And you start making better decisions, you start doing more things, you start enjoying more things, and you start giving yourself the flexibility you need it, right? So you're saying you're a 9 to 5 employee. Okay, figure out a way maybe to squeeze an hour somewhere of sleep, and and then pull it out and start doing that one thing you wanted to do. Oh, I wanted to, I wanted to play a sport, or I wanted to go walking, or I wanted to ride my bike. Whatever it is that does it for you, right? Take it out, pull it out of that, because ultimately your body can't take it. And it's just, I just feel that many times you get home, you sit down on the couch, and that's it. And now all of a sudden, that laziness takes over, and you find yourself just moving from channel to channel, and you say, "Oh, I was going to go out walking, or I was going to go do this," and then it's over, it's done. That laziness took over, and now there's nothing you can do about it, right? You're not going to go out. You're just simply going to lay there. So take action. Don't let that laziness, don't let that sleep take over, and just do it as quickly as you can. My little 2 cents. I know people that love sleep will hate me for this, but that it really gets you doing a lot of things.
I mean, from a mental health perspective, I emphasize sleep all the time. But
Mhm.
I think there's also like quality sleep, and that's a lot of the problem for people, is they're not getting quality sleep. So it doesn't matter how much or how little they get. So but I'm sure when you're de-stressing and you're taking care of yourself better, you probably are able to sleep better and get better quality of sleep. So I'm sure there's a lot of factors that play into how that can work. Um, you know,
For
long
sure,
term.
for sure. I think if you go to sleep de-stressed, you're actually, you're resting,
Yeah.
as opposed to, going to sleep stressed. And then, those whatever, you want to sleep 8 hours, but you might be better off sleeping 5 hours unstressed than 8 hours stressed. So that's where you need to figure that out, right? How to find that time to decompress and a time to feel good about yourself. So sleep is actually, valuable sleep, very productive sleep.
My goal at the business that I own was like once a month do something for myself, do some of the services that we have here for myself. But I think after this conversation, I might have to do that once a week. And
Really?
yeah, because why not? I mean, it's right here, it's super convenient. There's no reason I shouldn't be doing it. And all of these services are basically like healthy me time. So I think that I'm going to make that my goal. I'll
Oh.
keep you guys posted on how that goes.
And you have a bunch of different services though, you know what I mean? You could do
Yeah.
like cupping one week, you could do massage the other week, you could do whatever, you could do, and let's say you don't want to do those services, you could just take a walk.
Yeah,
Literally
that's
these,
true. The beach
yeah,
is
these
right
me time,
here.
right. And a lot of me time, and people think, oh, I can't afford it. A lot of me time could be free.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he said a walk, so that's free always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the point is always push yourselves to do more things.
Yeah, I like that. I really do. This was really cool, guys.
I know. I had so much fun.
Yes, I really appreciate that perspective, because one of the things that I truly believe as a mental health therapist is that really our perspective is our biggest problem. And like I was saying, some people stay very stuck in a certain way of being, and you just gave us a whole other way to think about things. And I think that that's so important, to be able to expand our thinking, to think about things in a different way.
Well, it works for me, and I really hope that it works for more people that, find themselves not liking what they're doing in life. And it just, the last message is, just take control of your life by not overthinking. Just do it.
I love it. Okay. Anything else, Julie?
Nah, I think that's it. You squeezed all the energy out of me today.
All right, then we'll just see you next time.
All right, Lisa.